Ready, set, art. Part two of strong animals. Strong animals. This is to prep us for our next assignment, which is the cubism animal. The cubism animal. And what we have here is a markhor and a harpy eagle. Markhor and a harpy eagle. We already did the praying mantis and the frilled lizard. Why did I pick these animals? Because I feel like structure-wise, these are interesting forms to deal with later on when we do the cubism animal. As a friendly reminder of the cubism animal, for me, I picked another strong animal, and that's the horse. And I drew it kind of at this angle, but coming at us. And I thought that would be a lot more dynamic. So always kind of consider angles and how that might work as a finished piece. In another video, I will show how to take the horse and translate it into cubism. So let's move on. We already did this one, so I'm going to put that to the side. We're going to focus on the markhor. I have to say, when it comes to strong animals, in general, goats and rams are really great to work from. They have an interesting form to deal with. Their heads in general look like they have strength to it, and the horns especially. That's great for translating into cubism. And I think, like, when you look at this hair, that would be interesting as well. Okay, so this is an odd angle because he's sort of tilting toward us, sort of, right? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna angle the spine, right? In general, axis line starts with the spine, just depends on the subject matter, the neck, and then the head. Now, to make sure the neck is not too long, what I'm going to do is just double check. I'm going to angle from rear to head. And in this case, I'm just a little off. But it's good to double check, right? Okay. Then from there, the hindquarters. And in this case, it has a very kind of odd shape here. And then we're going to put in the chest. And double check the angle there of where that is. So look, that was too long. Ours make mistakes all the time. That's why we need the eraser. Okay, so another thing I like to do is angle the eyes. So I'll do that, angle the nose, and then from there the mouth, okay? And you can see it's starting to give that structure. I'm going to angle the horns. I'm just going to kind of put that there. If it goes off the page, let it go off the page. You don't want to shrink it just to make it fit the page because then it's proportionally incorrect. Okay, all right. It has a shorter head. I mean, from eye to jawline, it's very short because there's so much hair coming off of it that appearance-wise, you're kind of almost thrown off by that shape. Look, this is kind of odd, but later we're going to add all of this hair. Next are the legs. The legs are generally short for these type of mountain goats. They need to be able to go up to a side of a mountain fairly easily. Okay. All right. Now if you look at it, it's getting there. I have the basic form. Now we got to do some extra shaping. So I'm just going to kind of randomly put this kind of etchy fur in for that part. And then let's focus on this hind leg. This hind leg is odd because it's aiming at us. It's kind of twisting. So I'm going to go to here and then I get to the knee. So it's almost like it's forward while the other ones are to the side. When I was looking at the photo, it is odd, but that's just the way it was. So you know how goats, they have this kind of hoof. Okay? And then this leg was tilting back. It's tilting back. You barely saw the back. And you didn't even really see the tail. Okay? And then this extra fur, and crazy, it starts to get really long. This is a really interesting animal to look at. Some great photos online. Okay. All right, this foot is kind of stepping back, or I should say hoof. And then put in that little one. Like I said, as it gets to here, we start to see it from the side. Okay, you notice that the hair here is probably going to cover most of that foot, so I'm not going to worry too much. I'm just kind of bringing it forward. Okay. All right, so we're getting there. All right, let's clean up the face area. So I'm lightly erasing. We already put on our access lines. I normally don't draw this dark when I'm first sketching because of mistakes, but for demonstration purposes, I am. So now I'm in that observation stage where whatever shape I see is the shape I try to draw. Okay, before we were using our access lines, now we're using our observation skills. Please remember that observation drawing means half the time you're actually looking at the subject matter and the other half the time you're drawing. Okay, so if you make a mistake, it's not a big deal. We always make mistakes in art, and then we just have to go back and correct it. It's one of the few times you're allowed to make mistakes, because art is always about making mistakes and correcting it. No big deal. Okay, so I'll probably correct that face as I go. But I want to get the fur in and then judge where to go from there. So there's this interesting fur. It's really long, and I kind of just get started putting in these lines, and then I might lightly erase and fix as I go. Okay, so lightly erase. And then when you look at the picture, it's very dark right here. You have very dark hair. So I'm going to kind of shade that in. And because it's so long, it starts to shadow in some areas. So I kind of put in these little shadow lines, shadow areas. So it's just like that. Okay. So the hardest part, I think, is the horn. It twists, right? It goes. If it makes it easier, go like this first. Okay, then this one goes this way. All right, so see how I did that loop? And so like mentally as you're going by, you're just correcting it, but you know it twists, 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 twists. And in this case, it probably twisted more right back here. Okay, so that should help a lot more. I'm going to go ahead and put in this part, and as it gets to here, it has this interesting shape, almost like a musical horn, just like that. And because it twisted over this way, there's an edge right there, just like boxes have edges, right? Now I can twist this way. See, it helped to do that loop-de-loop. That loop, I think, you know, mentally when I was trying to figure this out, proportion, I was like, how do you get this going? And it does help to do that loop. All right, here's this part. I'm going to twist this way. This one was harder because it kind of goes like this. It's kind of backwards, all right, because it's the opposite angle. Okay. And then I go this way. And in this case, it's going off the page. All right. Now, I have the basic details in. Now it's the cleaning up part. I would lightly erase, sharpen my pencil, and put in these beautiful ridges that we see in the horns. I love that. Lightly erase. I like adding these short little hairs here to indicate that the hair is shorter there. And you can see I cleaned up the face a little more. You can see in here too I added thinner lines. That's from sharpening my pencil. Alright, so that's the Markhor. M-A-R-K-H-O-R. It's an interesting name. Next, the Harpy Eagle. I do need to sharpen my pencil really quick. So hold on. Alright, that makes it easier. Alright, so when you look at a Harpy Eagle, which is based out of South America in the Amazon, these are gigantic birds. They are the biggest of the eagles. And they have a couple unique features besides its size. This is a big bird. It has this crown that comes off the top of its head, and then it has patterns. It's mostly white, gray, and black. So the underneath part is white and black, and then the top part here is gray, and the head is gray. It's a beautiful bird, and their legs are longer than you would think, and the tail feathers are very long, all right? So it has this interesting kind of checkerboard look when its wings open, and you see that in other parts of it as well. It's a great bird. I did it for another assignment, actually. Okay, so I think I'll put it, so I'm going to move the camera just a tiny bit, right there, so I can see. Okay, next, I'm going to do my axis line, and then the head. From there, I think I'll go ahead and put in a general shape. That beak is a little different than you would think, so you kind of have to go back and really look at it. And then it has this kind of collar that shapes out, and then an extra collar, then the body. If the tail goes off the page, let it go off the page. angle the legs, and like I said, these legs are long. These are long. Sorry, that angle is incorrect. Alright. See? Artists make mistakes. We just gotta correct it. Alright, so that's the leg part. The wings, again, are big, and they do have some length to it. You don't necessarily have to do this specific shape if you're doing a harpy eagle. There's many great photos to work from. Okay, so I have the basic form. Now it's time for the detailing. Now I have to say, like, getting the bird going doesn't really take that long. It's adding all this kind of checkerboard look, and I'm sure a student's going to ask me, do we have to add the checkerboard look? Well, yes, because it's a distinct feature of this animal. So I'm adding this part in. It really is. It's a very distinct feature. And then I'm going to put in some feathers. If yours are slightly off, it's not that big of a deal. It's more about the size of this bird. Okay, so I have that in. So it's interesting, on this side, black and white, and if you were to look at the top of the wing, it's gray. So this part is all gray, and this underneath part is checkerboard like. Okay, let's get in this part. So I'm kind of creating that shape. All right, and the outside part has this kind of black kind of striping going through, but the underneath part behind this, like this part of the leg here, is white. Okay, again, and their talons are interesting too. So if you remember what I said about that frilled lizard, you're kind of like, whoa, those are weird claws. Well, it's the same with this one. Theirs are really long. It's different than if you were drawing a regular bald eagle. Their claws are different. They're almost bulkier. All right. Okay. So you can see I'm starting to get there. And again, like I said, this bird has very long tail feathers. All right. The next part I want to show is the face. I think I'll just, sorry, let me move that up. Okay, I'm going to lightly erase, because there's an interesting feature, and it's its eye. So in here, the feathers actually go up into the beak, just like that, and then the beak kind of curves like this, goes in. And if you looked at it, you would see there's more feathers inside. It's odd that the feathers go so far into this beak. So this part goes in, and then this way, and then this way. So you could see this really goes far up the beak. It's an odd feature. And then they have these little feathers, and usually how I indicate that is round, 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 and then it gets longer, and then longer. Okay. So I'm at the point where I'm ready for all of my detailing, and you can see that here. I went in and shaded to indicate the checkerboard look. Some feathers in here, and the tail. And that finishes up strong animals. I only stuck with 4 this time because there was a little bit more work involved. And in the next video, I'll show you how to take a strong animal and translate it into cubism. Thank you.